Some of the worst converting Shopify sites I've ever worked with look incredible. Professional branding, expensive photography, clean design, everything a founder would normally be proud of. And yet still, it's converting at 0.3%. Because oftentimes buyers don't buy when they're impressed. They buy when they are confident and when you have reversed their risk. I've audited hundreds of stores, built over 500 by now, and we've really honed in on what principles make a website convert and what is just there to draw attention. The gap between looking good and actually selling well is very different from just aesthetics and what visually meets the eye. It's one of the most common and one of the most expensive problems I typically see. I've helped brands grow from 1 to 5 million, from 3 to 30 million, and even from 20K to 100K. So I worked with brands of all different sizes and tenures and levels of ability. And the thing that I keep coming back to almost always in my audits is related with their website design. Oftentimes, your store doesn't have a traffic problem, it has a conversion problem. It has a confidence problem. A customer lands on your page, and then in the next few seconds, they're deciding whether they can trust you or not, whether this is for them or it's something that they're just going to quickly exit out of. And most owners gloss over these important conversion and trust building facets that are more important than many aspects that get overemphasized and prioritized. Because oftentimes, I hate to say this, but website designers design websites to feel good about themselves. Oh, I made something really creative, versus focusing on what's actually converting and getting people over that threshold. That is what this video here is about today. Before we get into the specifics, I want to make sure that we're thinking about the customer the same way. Most founders think about the website as someone who loads the homepage, they go through all the sections, section by section, read the About Us information, and consider all the options carefully, and then proceeds to buy. This is not how people shop online, I promise you. Here's the real version. Someone is on their phone, they're at their grocery store in the checkout line, they're half looking in front and then also simultaneously looking between their phone and doing some mindless scrolling at the same time. They see your ad or they find you in a search or some equivalent where they get and land on your website. You have 3 or 5 seconds to capture that trust above the fold, or you've lost them and hey, now they're paying for their groceries. And here's what they're asking, not even consciously, this could be a subconscious thought. Can I trust these people? Is this real? Is this AI? Is this fake news? Is this all of that? Because people have low trust of what's real now. And if so, if this page doesn't answer these questions fast, they're already gone. You've lost them. A lot of stores are still designed for desktop first, even though consistently I see 60 to 80% of the entire store traffic coming from mobile. And especially those new customers, the people who you're typically relying on your paid ads for that top of funnel, those are almost even more so skewed towards mobile. These Shopify stores that I'm commonly seeing are designed for a desktop first experience and a slow reader going through the continual process. That rarely happens in the real world. The bar for trust is high and the default is skepticism. Let me show you a little bit more what I mean. Beautiful brand, great photography, but I still don't properly understand what they sell. This headline could apply to literally any brand. Elevate your everyday. And there's no trust signals above the fold. No review count, no customer number, no press mention. That's the problem, not the photography. It's the confidence gap. Before we get into the specific problems, I want to talk about something that I see almost no one talk about in Shopify store design. Your website has 2 jobs, not one, it's got 2. It needs to communicate with humans and it needs to communicate with algorithms. And they process information very differently. Human-centric conversion is going to be about CRO, very compelling visuals, simple UI, UX. The humans prefer things visually. We like infographics, we like visuals, we like short GIFs and videos, and very clean UI, UX. We like things simple and direct. Whereas for algorithms, Google, Gemini, ChatGPT, Claude, these systems are going to prefer very rich text contextual information, and like a lot of contextual information. They want the text words that aren't selling the emotional aspect, which is more human-centric selling, but more so just very bluntly, what is the product and description? Humans don't like the commodity-centric selling experience, whereas algorithms actually prefer that. And that's where consumers typically at more of your top of funnel are finding you anyways in an organic context. This is how algorithms are different. They don't care about your image. They don't care about your hero shot or whatever creative caption hook you put on your hero banner. Instead, they want to know the meat and potatoes of what is this about. Give me zero marketing speak, zero emotional fluff. What is the product? What is the service? and ideally in as many descriptive ways as possible. And so you can see right there, there's the conflict. You have humans and CRO-centric websites wanting to speak more directly to the human, have things very simple, very clean, and more emotional components. Whereas the algorithms prefer things more text-centric and black and white, just more specific. We sell product XYZ versus we help create emotional experiences. You see those subtle differences between those two? It's a very critical concept for you to have in mind for your website to ultimately appeal to both. And so the brands that are doing it well are making sure that they're speaking to both audiences simultaneously. They have their website entire structure optimized for ChatGPT, the wave of AI, and also Google, just because it's still driving 80% plus of market share. But in addition to that, they're not ignoring the human-centric motives and preferences and trust signals, because ultimately it's still humans making the purchase at the end of the day, at least for now. So when we talk about your overall store experience, we want to keep both of those frameworks in mind: appealing to humans, CRO-centric. How do we make this very simple, clean layout, and at the same time still appealing and attracting the algorithms? How do they get the contextual information to know what we are selling and offering? Now let's get into the main problems. Problem one, the first screen doesn't answer the right question. This is one of the first things I flag in every audit. I load a site, I observe their hero, and I ask myself, do I understand what this is? Do I understand what product they are selling or offering? Is there a reason to trust it? And is there an obvious next step for what I do next? Most of the time, 2 out of 3 of these questions, the answer is no. Here's what I usually see: a beautiful image, full screen, great photography, maybe a headline that's human-centric and creative as far as the emotional touch point, and then maybe a subtle shop now button. And so this tells me nothing. This kills confidence before the customer has even started scrolling. I see it with the USPs too. 3 or 4 icons such as fast shipping, premium quality, customer satisfaction. These are too generic. These are too broad. Every brand says it. It's become lip service at this point that people just attribute as, okay, this is generally marketing speak. This isn't specific enough. Customers recognize that instantly, and their eyes, frankly, just skip right past over it. The fix isn't a bigger hero image. It's having more clarity, more specifics. The hero needs to tell me in both words and visuals, what do you do and for whom? And the USPs need to be specific about what makes you different, not what makes you similar to every other store option that they see out there. And the social proof needs to be visible before I even touch the scroll. I audited a brand recently, 500,000 customers served, really significant social proof, but you had to scroll halfway down the page to just see that. That number should always be in the hero. It's part of my checklist every time to build that trust in the first 3 seconds. You have 3 microseconds to build and capture that trust. And so there should always be that level of customer served, reviews, or leveraged featured media right there above the fold. Problem 2, the product page is where most of the revenue is lost. Stop optimizing your homepage first. Start with your product page. Start at the bottom of the funnel and then work backwards up. That is very oftentimes where the traffic actually lands. So most founders forget that their ad traffic or their SEO traffic or their featured media traffic or their affiliate traffic, it isn't going to their homepage. It's going to the collection page or directly to the product page or a specific landing page in some ad instances. You need to remind yourself that people do not come through the front door. People are often coming into the side door, through the window, and through other pages outside of your main homepage experience. This is where I see the very common mistake. Founders will think, because I talked about this already on the homepage, I don't need to mention it again on some of the other pages. That is completely wrong. You need to continuously be building trust and negating and removing any obstacles from a buying decisions path. Consumers are constantly asking themselves, can I trust this guy? Can I trust this product? Can I trust this website with my credit card and with my payment information? Same thing with images. These are product-only shots. They're clean, but no human, no lifestyle, no context that says this is what your life looks like with this product. This is the emotional outcome that you will be experiencing with the product. Again, more human-centric conversion method. And some of these look very touched up and artificial, which can counterintuitively have a negative consequence of losing trust factor. This is where conversions die and almost nobody catches it. The rule I follow: The add to cart button should always be very visible and have lots of contrast from the rest of the page. It needs to be visible, distinctly colored, and impossible for me to miss. It's one of the only things you're trying to get them to do, and so you need to act like that. Problem 3, the mobile experience is always an afterthought. Most brands design on desktop, yet most customers shop on mobile. That gap is where the conversion rate goes to die. Here's what I want you to actively visualize. A customer lands on your mobile site. There's the menu bar, the announcement bar, a giant hero image, and they're still scrolling and there's still no product, still no add to cart. You've already lost them. I audited a website recently that had over 80% of their traffic coming from mobile. On mobile, the menu and the hero were almost the entire first screen. By the time a customer could actually interact with the product and see the images added to cart, most had already bounced by that point. And sliders. Single images outperform sliders. People don't swipe through carousels, they see frame and then they move on. If your best product image isn't first, people are frankly probably not going to see it. Ask yourself this: when did you go through your store on your phone from an ad, click it, and act as if you had never seen it before? Most haven't. When they do, they're usually surprised by how much friction is in that process. Problem 4, there's not enough proof, and where it does exist, it's too far down in the stack and it's buried. It comes down to one word: trust. When someone lands on your store for the first time, they're not starting from trust. They're starting from mild skepticism. Their default question is this a real company or is this a scam? And so the answer you give them determines either they stick around or they bounce. What they're scanning for is proof, trust signal, a real review count, a customer number, a press mention, a return policy that's very easy to find, or risk reversals for the purchase. Any sign that says, hey, this is a real business, real people, accountability that you can trust. And what I often see is that if this proof does exist, it is way too far down in the stack, or it is only in one spot, such as with the homepage, but not visible on any of the collections or product pages. Here's the principle: trust always belongs at the top, not the bottom, and it needs to be on every single page in the entire funnel. Featured media logos near the hero, aggregate review count above the title. If you've shipped to over 500,000 customers, I shouldn't see that number before anything else. And one more thing: brands have a strong aggregate proof, but weak per product proof. Maybe you have 20 reviews on individual products, but over 50,000 total customers. Show the 50,000 number. The bigger the number is, the more persuasive it is. Make sure you are aggregating your social proof and then including it in various steps in the funnel process. Problem 5, too many CTAs. If you have over 2 CTAs, you already have too many CTAs. This happens all the time. 2 main buttons in the hero image. The navigation becomes a competition for attention. A product page where the add to cart, wish list, share button, learn more, all have very similar visual weight. When everything is emphasized, nothing is. Customer attention is limited, and the more options you are presenting, chances are they're getting overwhelmed with too many things to think about and consider. Decision fatigue is very real, and you need to be mindful of that when building out your site. Here's how I think about it. Every page has just one job only, and I'm constantly thinking, what is the next step in the funnel, and how do I get the customer to get over the gap into the next stage of the funnel? I had a brand recently where the blog in the menu had the same visual weight as the Shop Now button. It's a really great example of you're giving too many options and not making it clear for the intended route you want a customer to go through. And that's not to say that always you send them directly to the buy page. Sometimes you really do need to educate a first-time buyer and take them through an education sequence before making the pitch. That's a very valid instance, but you need to make sure that you are choosing one or the other deliberately versus having zero specifications for your funnel intention. Problem 6, the offer isn't clear enough to justify a decision. This one lives at the intersection of design and business strategy. The offer needs to be very clear to the customer that they can make a decision quickly, and most stores fail at this aspect in one specific way. The value isn't justified at the price point. A concrete example: we had a brand at $105 AOV. Conversion rate was low, the unit economics were marginal, and when we looked at the product page, the product was presented as a single item with minimal context about what made it worth $105. So here's the fix: a bundle solution. Frequently bought together items with a one-click add to cart. The AOV went from $105 to $155. ROAS went from under 2 to now 2.91. And so it's the exact same traffic, same ads, but now it's a more profitable equation for the brand to be able to scale further along. The offer got clear, so the customer had more reasons to say yes. This is where free shipping thresholds work wonders too. You were $26 away from achieving free shipping. Those type of items I constantly put at whatever is just above your AOV. So if your AOV, like in the example above, was $105, I would put the free shipping threshold at maybe 10, 20% just above that. So $120 now. Whatever you can do to gradually increase those economics to make it a much more profitable store experience and drive further growth. This is where you also want to be mindful of including your return policy or think of the risk reversals. Again, a customer is constantly asking themselves, can I trust this? Is this a scam? What if it doesn't work out? They're going through all these negative scenarios. So you need to constantly be providing risk reversals on how to avoid that. Common return policies or refund policies are really great examples for where you do need to make these prominent in your sales funnel. So now let me put this all together for you. A beautiful e-commerce store without clarity is like a luxury retail shop with no salesperson. It looks impressive, but no one's there to guide you, answer your questions, or give you a reason to buy. High converting stores are very different. Every single element in the site is doing a specific job. The hierarchy is very clear, it is very obvious, and the trust signals are prominent and continuous throughout the whole experience. The path from landing page to checkout is short and it's frictionless. And the thing I keep seeing in audits that the problem is almost never the information missing, it's that the information is in the wrong place. The reviews are buried. The social proof isn't aggregated. The product story is in a wall of text that no one can reach or read. So as CPMs keep going up and the cost of getting someone to your store is more expensive than it was 2 years ago, the trend isn't reversing. So if your conversion rate stays flat, the math is getting worse quicker. Improving conversion rate is the lever that you pull to make your whole system much more efficient. You don't need more traffic to make more money. You need to do more with the traffic that you already have. So here is the actionable framework. Here's what you do next. Do this in order of priority. Start with your product page and then work backwards to your homepage. Pull up your top 3 revenue generating pages and run this checklist. Is the add to cart button immediately visible and distinctly colored? Is the copy, the visuals, the icons and callouts in short bullets, not paragraph? Are there lifestyle images with humans and not just products or commodity related images? And is the social proof visible without scrolling? Any no is where you start. Second, go through your website on a mobile experience, not a desktop preview. Do it on your phone and do this from a cold start and count how many seconds it takes you to reach to the add to cart and actually complete an actual purchase flow. Count how many seconds you need to scroll to see social proof. This exercise will help surface the 3 to 5 rule of where you need to capture that trust and attention, otherwise you have already lost them. Third, move all your trust signals up and make sure that you are always using the bigger number, whether it's the aggregate, number of customers served, whatever that aggregate larger number is, put that bold center and have that first and foremost and through all the pages in your funnel. Fourth, simplify your navigation and CTAs. One action only per page. Give that action the highest visual weight and then reduce or remove anything that competes with that purchase path. Fifth, look at your offer before you touch any of your ad spend. This is a real example from an audit. $465 AOV, 154,000 sessions a month, 0.37 conversion rate. That's $264,000 a month. Watch what happens if we just change that conversion rate to a 0.5%. That's almost an additional $100K in additional monthly revenue from the exact same traffic, the exact same ad funnel, and the same product. A 0.5% point increase. That's what CRO means in actual dollars. And 6, install Microsoft Clarity. If you don't have it yet, it's free. It shows you exactly where customers are clicking, where they stop scrolling, and where they are exiting. That's real behavior to give you actionable insights and way more useful than guessing. In summary, let's bring this all together. People don't buy when they're impressed. They buy when they feel confident. Most stores don't need a complete redesign. They need to make clear trust signals, a clear hierarchy, and less friction in the entire process. And remember what we talked about earlier. Your store isn't just speaking to customers. It's speaking to algorithms too. ChatGPT, Claude, Google, AI overviews. If that side of your website experience is broken, you're going to have a serious traffic problem and be limiting your customer potential reach. We'll be going deeper on that topic in a future video coming shortly. If you want us to go through your store, click on the link below and reach out. We'll go through in a detailed audit for both the CRO and SEO components that we discussed. We'll look at the real data and come back with an actionable framework of specifics for how you can start driving more revenue today. Link is in the description below. Reach out and we'll go from there. Thanks for your time. Stay tuned for the next video. We have some awesome things coming up shortly, talking more about the algorithms compared to human shopping experience and how you can continue to optimize for both. Thanks, and stay tuned for next video.